Now, there's a reason why you see no black people at these anti-ICE protests.
You know why you're not seeing a lot of black people out there protesting against ICE? You know why you're seeing predominantly white people only at these events? It's because back in 2020, the Democrats utilized the black demographic to go out and riot and act a fool. And they said, oh, if you just elect us, we'll give you reparations and we'll force the police to wear body cameras and all these wonderful, amazing things, right? So black people showed up like we are known to do, and we voted up and down for one side of the aisle. And what did we get for it? Nothing, as usual, because many of us never learn. But now, here in 2026, we're seeing individuals who were slavishly devoted to the Democrat Party. Now they're seeing the Democrats over their entire 4 years in office under Joe Biden. They went out of their way to ingratiate themselves to illegal immigrants, and they sometimes prioritized illegal immigrants, even in black communities, ahead of black American citizens. And black people are sitting there saying, wait, you said you were going to give us reparations, you're going to give us X, Y, and Z, and we got nothing for it. So the silver lining is a lot of people are waking up and realizing the Democrats are only courting their next prospective voting bloc. They want to exploit illegal immigrants for an entire generation, much like they've exploited the black community for the previous several generations. And they're daring you to call them out on that and see it for what it is. So if you're wondering why you only see predominantly white liberals out here acting a fool, rioting and protesting against ICE, it's because ICE is threatening their ability to cater to that next demographic that they desperately want to lock in for an entire generation. And that's just the God's honest truth. Those are my thoughts. Hopefully you agree. And if you do, let me know in the comment section down below.
Well, I definitely agree, and that's Damani Felder. I believe his handle is at the Damani Felder, who's a black conservative commentator. Good stuff. And he is pointing out, like what I pointed out a lot about these anti-ICE protests that went down, what you would see is predominantly white liberals, and many of these white liberals are older, right? You don't see any black people there. In fact, I think I did a video that went a little crazy where I told black people specifically to mind your own black business and to stay away from these protests. And why I said that is because it's very obvious that Democrats are using and courting illegal immigrants as their next prospective voting bloc, their next victim group. They're getting these people over here. They're on the dole. They're saying, we're going to give you this. We're going to give you that. This is exactly what they have done to blacks for generations. But they actually prioritize illegal immigrants over black Americans. And what I want to ask black Americans, definitely, you know, in terms of 2026 midterms coming up and 2028, it's not just what are you getting from Democrats. It's not like, oh, you're not getting anything from Democrats, so come vote for Republicans, because like I am sometimes not even entirely sure what, you know, non-rich black folks are getting even from Republicans. But it's like, okay, you have all of this power, all of this clout on the left. Why are you selling it out to illegals?
A lot of people got mad at me when I said this is not black people's fight and that we're on a couch for a reason. And I just want to remind you guys of something. This is a projection of the 2024 presidential election exit polls. And when I say this is not black people's fight, I say that because 85% of black people voted for this not to happen. And when you look at all the other races, you can tell that there's a significant amount of votes that could have stopped this from happening. When I said that y'all wasn't out there fighting for us, I'm not talking about the 41% of YT people. I'm not talking about the 52% of Hispanic Latino, the 54% of Asian, the 42% of POCs. I'm not talking about y'all. I'm talking about the 57% of YT people that voted for this and the 2% of YTs that voted for somebody completely else. I'm talking about the 46% of Hispanic Latino people that voted for this. 46%, that's dang near 1 in every 2 Hispanics who voted for this. I'm talking about the 39% of Asians. That is a significant amount for this projection. This other is POCs, and this is what gets me is that y'all lump black people and POCs together. No, we are not together. 54% of POCs voted for this. 54%, that is literally 1 in every 2 POC who voted for that. And don't get me wrong, there's not words created to show how bad I feel about everything that's going on right now. And even though I'm saying this is not our fight, I'm still doing everything I can to show the injustices of what's going on right now. But to say that there aren't enough black people out there protesting right now is absurd to me, because we've been fighting, we've been trying to tell you guys about the injustices of what's going on, and you guys are just now seeing it. So yeah, I still stand on what I said, that black people need to be on the couch and this is not our fight. But let me know what you guys think. I'll see you in the next one.
The debate over immigration protests continued to grow, and one question keeps showing up across social media. Why are some black Americans still refusing to join these demonstrations? Depending on who you ask, you will hear very different answers. Some people believe communities should always stand together during difficult moments. Others argue that every community has the right to choose which issues deserve its time. energy, and attention. Today, we are looking at the different perspectives being shared online and why this discussion has become one of the most talked about topics in recent weeks. As always, this video is a commentary on public opinions and discussions. The goal is to explore the conversation, not to tell you what to think.
It is getting very xenophobic out here. I don't understand why, as an African American, I say this as someone who's African American and Caribbean American, I don't understand why you would think that an ICE agent would give a fuck if you're African American, Caribbean, African. They're not gonna care, and they're not gonna ask, and they're not gonna care. I know you think they are, but they're not. So to say, I'm not gonna care. I'm not gonna fight for people who don't even like me in regards to like Caribbean Americans or Africans, or like they look down on us and all that stuff. Everybody wants to be a perpetual fucking victim. This shit goes both.
No. Everybody wants to be a professional victim because Black Americans are finally starting to air their grievances and actually speak out against the type of the vibes and the energy and the anti-Black Americanness that we've been experiencing in this country. Y'all just want us to shut the fuck up. Y'all want to co-opt our lived experience. Y'all want to co-opt our culture while simultaneously telling us we don't have a culture. The irony in that. And call us xenophobic. Like y'all motherfuckers don't practice tribalism. Now all of a sudden, we're in a day and age where everybody wants to be grouped together and wants to fall under the same umbrella. And now it all makes sense. It's because y'all are afraid of ICE. So everybody wants to be a Black American. Being an illegal immigrant is not something that is, once again, a human rights issue, nor is it a civil rights issue. It's a legal issue. I don't know exactly what it is that everyone is expecting Black Americans to do, but in this country, we fought. You all are able to migrate here. Miss Ma'am, your parents, whichever one you claim is Caribbean, which both of them probably are, were allotted the privileges and the liberties to come over here because of Black Americans and the civil rights movements. Y'all talk so much shit, and you all have, and it does not go both ways. We just never really said anything. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. People that were African and Caribbean always made it be known they always fly their flags, which is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But we have all, almost every Black American person that I know, we have Caribbeans and Africans that we absolutely love, but we have all as a collective experience you all telling us that we don't have culture. Kai Cenat was just saying that Black Americans don't have culture while cosplaying a fucking Black American. He's engulfed in the culture while saying we don't have, like, y'all literally will say, my school system is better, my country is better, the food is better. This is what we've experienced. And for you to say that we're playing professional victims is disingenuous, and it's absolutely fucking diabolical, because you are invalidating a whole group of people and how they feel and their lived experience. And y'all wonder why we don't fuck with that. Who's gonna fuck with somebody saying you're a victim when you're telling them, this is how you've made me feel? You cannot speak for every Black person. You can't. And then she went on to talk about how children are bullied in school and nobody wanted to look African. Baby girl, kids are mean. Kids are mean. I was bullied and teased and harassed. Can I lean on the fact that it was because I was fucking African or Caribbean? No. Kids are fucking mean, point blank, period. It does not matter what your cultural background is. Kids are mean. Everybody gets bullied and harassed and teased. Y'all get the fuck. Yo, this is really pissing me the fuck off. It really is. And this ain't even no love loss, but that professional, perpetual victim shit, when people are literally just expressing how they felt and how they've been treated, maybe you need to check yourself and your bias and the anti-Black Americanness that you all perpetuate. These are not baseless claims. Have some respect. This is making me passionate. It's not just about you, because you might see this video. This is not just about you. I'm speaking on behalf of everybody that is making it seem like we're all lying. Spread Mr. Brooklyn Way.
So we have a discourse going on between, I think, majority like Mexicans and the Black community. And I just have to say to my Mexican people who are asking why the Black people are not like protesting with us or whatever, why? Why would they? 92% of their women voted for Kamala. 80% of their community of men voted for Kamala. 60% of Latinos voted for Kamala. And I believe the majority were women and the majority were Mexican. But that number is crazy, considering that Hispanics and Latinos are becoming the fastest growing minority. Like, we are going to be the majority soon. And it's crazy for me to think that number was so fucking low. And now you're asking where the Black community is when they're the ones who tried to avoid this. Hello? They tried to avoid this. We all tried to tell you guys. Even within my own community, I'm talking to you guys because I did the work. And I know other Latinas who did the work. We were on calls every fucking week. We were writing postcards. We were making phone calls. And you guys were probably nowhere in sight, my Latino community. And now you're begging the Black community to come help us, to come save us. No! I think it's time we learn to save ourselves. And let the Black community rest. Because my God, have they not done enough fucking work. So, yeah. Where were we during the George Floyd protests? Or the Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland? When their community was getting killed, where the fuck were we? Because I do not remember seeing any Latin people out there. Now, maybe there was one or two of y'all. I don't remember seeing any Mexicans out there. So why should they put their time, their energy, all of this into helping a group of people who didn't give a shit about them when they needed our help? Think about that. Also, where the hell are all you Latinos for Trump at? Because I see a lot of you guys crying on here that you regret your decision. He lied to us. He used us. Where the fuck are you? Are you out there protesting? Because you motherfuckers are really the ones who need to be out there. You guys. And all your fucking regrets for voting for him with your dumbasses. So before you guys start wondering where the Black people are, wonder where the fucking Latinos for Trump are. Where the fuck are they? That should be the question we're asking.
I think I might have a problem because certain things just hit me different. I got on here months ago and I said, Black people, stay out of these ICE protests. As protests have ramped up, as bodies have begun to pile up, the entitlement and privilege of other groups of people, as it pertains to Black people putting their bodies on the line, has begun to show itself. And I keep thinking, wow, imagine for a second, the entitlement, the privilege, and quite frankly, the disconnect and the dissonance of people. Because I think Blackness has a weight to it. And for a while, I always wondered what that weight was. And that weight is memory and it is history. The history that this current administration is trying to take away from people. And here's why. Imagine telling the group of people who have been in this country before this country had a name, were the dead last ones to get rights in this country, have been disenfranchised, brutalized, victimized by this country before they even have rights, are the reason some people in this country and other people across the world have rights. Same group of people who fought, died, were tortured, beaten, lynched, hung, all these different things. Imagine telling the people and expecting the people who fought, died, went to prison, had to flee the country, all these things. Imagine telling those people, hey, why aren't you fighting? Where are you in this issue? When the National Guard is going into predominantly Black neighborhoods right now. When police show up alongside ICE, knowing the history that Black people have with the police in this country, that again had slavery, genocide, institutionalized racism. Imagine the expectation, the entitlement. And quite frankly, the psychosis behind the frustration when we say no. Imagine going to the polls and voting for this, knowing that most black people did not vote for this, and you want us to clean up the mess that you made. And I'm not even trying to get political, but that's just the concurrence of facts of the events. Imagine how crazy this looks for us. And I need people to understand, it's not that we are for these things happening to anyone. Y'all are. We are 14% of this country's population. I need you to really understand that. We are 14% of the population. Most of you, in some way, shape, or form, wanted this. You voted for this. You did all the things that you could for this to happen to people. And now there seems to be no compunction with the powers that be for them to do these things to you. It just so happens that you probably always expected this to happen to us. And now it's not. So no, we're not doing it. We'll be coming out on the other end of it, though, victorious. Have a good day.
April 5th, there were thousands of protests all over the United States. And I saw videos of them all over the internet all day yesterday and today. They were anywhere from a few hundred to tens of thousands of people at these protests. You know who didn't show up? Were people from the black and brown community. You know who else didn't show up? Cops. I didn't see any cops in any of these videos. That is living proof that institutionalized racism is strong and powerful in the United States of America. The system was written for white people. April 5th, with all the protests, is all the proof and evidence any of these deniers need to see. The only time cops will show up to events are if people from the black and brown community show up.
True.
This is what the Prince of Pan-Africanism, Dr. Umar, had to say about deportations and immigration. Check this out.
Here is my position on the migrant crisis and the migrant protests that are sweeping the country. No group has ever come to America to help black people. No group has ever helped black people. Latinos never said we're going to help black people as a community. They come here to replace us. And most of them align themselves with the white power structure against African people. With that being said, I do not support black people getting involved in the migrant protests. That is not our fight. Dr. Umar participating? Absolutely not. These are individuals who came here, who are benefiting off of the black struggle for civil rights and set-asides, who have never spoken up or defended black people at all.
Not Dr. Umar sounding like an FBA. Is it that Pan-Africanism is dead? Is that what they mean by foundational? Black Americans built all the southern states and had influence on the northern and western states. All the infrastructure that's in the South, Black Americans built. Railroad tracks, building structures, even universities. Y'all meaning black immigrants, y'all already came into a country that was already developed by black Americans, right? America wouldn't be what it is without black Americans, without the labor of black Americans. And I'm not just talking about physical infrastructure. I'm talking about culture, music, food. I'm talking about rights, civil rights. The rights that these black immigrants and other immigrants enjoy today in this country was because of black Americans set the foundation. That's why it's called foundational black Americans, because the foundation has already been laid and y'all just taking advantage of the sacrifices and the labor that you did not participate in. Some of the most prideful black immigrants are the ones that's not in a homeland. Some of the most Confucius, you have all the knowledge how to repair the black community. But when you go back to Africa or when you go back to the Caribbeans, you don't have no solutions for your own homelands and communities. It's like all of a sudden your brain cells then evaporated, turned into straight steam. But I'm enjoying this death of Pan-Africanism. It should have died a long time ago, because all it really was, black immigrants eating off the sacrifices of black Americans. That's all that was. Africa should focus on uniting with other Africans. The Caribbeans should focus on uniting with other Caribbeans. Because have you seen what they're doing to the Haitians? Haitians are getting deported left and right. Bahamas, deported. Jamaica, deported. Puerto Rico, deported. Like, if collectively they're getting deported by the millions.
That a lot of black people don't even identify with being African. And one of the reasons it's going to be difficult for you to be next is you are the only non-white people in America who cannot be realistically deported.
So there's been a lot of protesting going on today in regards to Donald Trump. And a lot of people have been saying, where are the black people? I'm not seeing a lot of black people at these protests, whether it's in San Francisco, New York, DC, Boston, all across the U.S. Folks, we did our part. You understand? 92% of black women voted for Kamala Harris. 78 or 80% of black men voted for Kamala Harris last November. We did what we were supposed to do when it mattered the most. Now, all of this protesting is fine and dandy, but it's too little too late. Folks should have been having the same type of energy last year in November. Folks should have been up in arms, carrying signs and picket fences, shouting to the top of their lungs at that voting booth last November. We black people in the house having a glass of wine with our feet kicked up, watching y'all out in hell, sleet, and snow, and rain and everything else protesting. You want to know why? Because we did our part. We held up our end of the bargain, especially black women. There's nothing else to do. See you at the midterms.
Y'all want black people to protest. Y'all want us to petition. Y'all want us to march. Where were the votes? Where were y'all at in November? Because that's really all we needed from you. That's all we asked of you. Where are the votes? You want us to march? Why don't you march your ass to them polls and vote for Kamala? Every marginalized group want black people to fight. When are we going to win? I'm tired of just fighting for everybody else to win. When do we get the W? Because this funny thing happens. Every time we get out there and start fighting for everybody else gets the W. They get to take home the trophy. They get to take home the ring. But black people just get stuck with the fight. So let's try it the other way. How about y'all fight and we take home the trophy and the ring and the W? How about that? Y'all spent a year and a half singing and dancing. I will vote for Donald Trump. Y'all sitting up there shaking shoulders and shit. And now your rights being taken away. Now you're getting kicked out of a country that you came here in the right way. You came here the right way. Y'all, a lot of y'all are going through the correct process. Y'all are actually doing what you're supposed to do, and you're still getting kicked out. It's not the system, it's the person. You voted this person in, and now you're suffering the consequences. I really ain't got too much sympathy, mainly because all of this shit was avoidable. All you had to do was vote. That's all you had to do. But you decided to do the fool and vote for your boy, and now here we are. So you either wait your 3.5 years and we try it again, or next year during midterm elections, you can get the right people in Congress that'll actually make a move for you, because representation in there, they ain't doing shit but what that man says. So unless you decide to vote blue, you gonna have to get out. You gonna get flued out.
So as an Afro-Latino, I want to address the Latino community. The reason why BOK people don't want to stand in solidarity with us, but they do support it. Staying at home and talking about it is just as important enough, right? Here's another issue. Whenever black people have gone out to these types of protests, and they've done it multiple times, whenever they go out, they're used as human shields. That's one. Two, they always become the targeted people, and they are then their actions are used against them for them to be called violent. Three, we as Latinos need to deconstruct the anti-blackness. That's one. Two, the whitey supremacy that we have in our countries. Why? Because colorism is an issue. And I keep saying this, I cannot stress this enough, right? We cannot ostracize people who don't want to come. If black people are telling us why they don't want to show up, it's not time for us to plug in our ears. They're explaining to us exactly why not, and this is our chance as Latinos to hear them out, to hear their cries. Because when the MLK movement happened, it wasn't the time. When BLM happened, it wasn't the time. And now we're sitting here saying the same thing again, that right now is not the time to be divisive, which is one thing I'm gonna stop saying. I think it's the perfect time to address it. Retracted my statements. It's the perfect time to address it. And it's the perfect time to get more unity and solidarity. But we have to address the issues within our own community.
Many Black Americans posting online say their decision hasn't changed. According to these viewpoints, their focus remains on issues they believe directly affect their own communities. They often point to concerns such as education, job opportunities, housing, public safety, small business growth, and economic development. Some argue that before supporting other movements, they want to see more progress on challenges they feel have existed in their own neighborhood for years. Others say this isn't about hostility towards anyone else. Instead, they describe it as setting priorities based on what they believe is most important for their families and communities. Supporters of this position also say participation in any protest should be a personal choice rather than something people feel pressure to do. Not everyone sees it that way. Many activists and community leaders believe solidarity is more important because different communities often face overlapping challenges. They argue that working together can create stronger coalitions and increase the chances of influencing public policy. Some believe standing together during difficult moments builds trust and can benefit everyone in the future. Others have expressed disappointment that they expected broader participation but didn't see it happen. At the same time, some people respond by saying that support should never be assumed. They believe every individual and every community should be free to decide which causes they support without being criticized for making different choices. The discussion has spread across YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and X, with thousands of comments expressing different opinions. Some commenters say communities should first focus on solving their own challenges before expanding their efforts elsewhere. Others believe that addressing multiple issues at once is possible and that cooperation benefits everyone over time. As with many public debates, this isn't one opinion that everybody agrees on. People's experiences, priorities, and beliefs often shape how they view their issues. One thing is clear: conversations like these are likely to continue as communities discuss how best to respond to complex social and political issues. Whether you agree or disagree with the viewpoints discussed today, this conversation highlights an important question. How should communities decide which causes to support? Should solidarity always come first? Or is it reasonable for every community to determine its own priorities based on its own experiences? I would love to hear your thoughts. Please keep the discussion respectful. Different opinions are welcome, but personal attacks and insults don't help anyone understand the issue better. If you found this commentary interesting, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future discussions on current events and public debates. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.